make this a 10-minute one, very short, because we're running out of time. Hi, Erik, again. And I'm not going to ask you how you are, because I already know. I just asked you, and you're doing great. Yay.
He
Uh,
says, "What's up?"
well, here's one from a blog member. I'm going to just quote what she says. Would you please add electromagnetic hypersensitivity to the list of topics for Erik to discuss? I ended up acquiring it by accident when in Australia. The condition is more prevalent in northern countries such as Canada and northern European countries, so I have gleaned. So I have gleaned insights from NDs over there. Electromagnetic hypersensitivity affects both the central nervous system and the autonomic nervous system, so it is frustrating as crap, quote unquote.
He says, well, this blog member in particular, um, oh boy, he's good at calling people out. We know that for sure.
Oh, yes.
Um,
He's done it to
I
us,
feel like,
hadn't he?
yeah, this blog member, just like anything though, he says, when you become aware to something or diagnosed with something, you can, people can tend to dwell on it, to focus too much on it,
Of
and then they
course.
become it.
Yeah.
He says, um, so you begin to define yourself that way. But anyway, um, he's showing it's a shift in your awareness. Okay, sometimes consciously, mom, sometimes subconsciously. It depends on how it's achieved. It can be achieved many ways, and he's not using achieved as like a good thing. It's just the happening of it.
Sure.
um, he says, um, I think that this is something that I experience as well, because he keeps pointing at me and he wants me to share, but um, it can make you ill. He says, what I want people to do that feel like they have this, or he says, well, first of all, we all have to understand that we all have biofields. We all
Yeah.
have our own biofield. Everything pretty much does. It's energy.
Hmm.
We're talking energy here. He says, so when you're hypersensitive to it, you need to look at why you're not grounded. Wow, he's like, God, he's acting like my dad. He's like,
Uh-oh. Well,
he
so
says, you need
it's
to look at why you're not grounded, because overstimulation or hypersensitivity from something generally is because there's no ground. So, in looking at hypersensitivity to electromagnetic biofields around you, um, let's say, for example, he says you're at a friend's house, and they have TVs and computers and radios everywhere going on, and you begin to feel ill or
mm,
something is different. He says two things you need to do. You need to shift your awareness. He says, we'll get to that in a minute. We'll go deeper into it. And you need to ground yourself. You need to find ways to ground yourself, but not in the way how we've discussed before. Like, if you love painting, go paint more and dwell in yourself, and you'll find yourself there. He's talking more in the terms of like a current, like a flow
oh,
of
electrical
electricity.
grounding. Okay. So how do you do that?
Right. So
Install a
um,
lightning rod on your head or something.
he says, well, it's tricky for humans because when he says it's all about your vibration and where you resonate. Um, and that will determine how other things affect you.
Mhm.
So that's where he was talking earlier about it's where your awareness is.
Yeah.
So if you're one of these people, um, he's encouraging you to meditate, to shift your awareness. Um, that way you're not overstimulated, and even illness, happens because of this hypersensitivity. So it's mom, this is a little bit deeper for people. He says to meditate, to shift your own personal vibration, shift your own biofield. Um, he's showing more solidity to it, which is interesting. But he's showing, I guess, more. I guess I would call it boundaries. But he's like defining claim, stake your claim. He says
So
so.
stake
Stake
your
your
claim to
claim
your
with
biofield.
right, and what can and won't affect you. He says because I said I don't think it's that simple. And he said, it is that simple. He
Hmm.
says, when you define your boundaries and what you let affect you, it will be that way. Um, a really easy thing, someone could do too is carry crystals. He says crystals
Oh,
can sort of, or rocks, whatever you want to call them. He says can ground out some of that energy.
what kind of
Um,
crystals? Any particular kind?
he is just really on it today. He wants to talk a lot. He's
Oh, we
showing
only have
like
5 more minutes.
obsidian. He shows
Okay.
hematite and like obsidian.
Okay.
Um, are at least a couple. Ruby too, or no, 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 not ruby. Garnet.
Okay.
So those start with those, but he says, because we're talking psychometry here. So if you're carrying that object as your ground, um, and consciously allowing that flow of energy to go there so that you're not hyperstimulated, um, you will experience less effects.
So you can
So
visualize the electromagnetic whatever that's trying to invade your space going to the rocks in your pocket, for example. Just kind of visualize that when you start feeling sick. The meditation,
exactly.
can it be just as simple as just focusing on your breathing?
He says sort of, but the meditation is more of a task. He says because he says when you go into a meditation, I want you to think about shifting your vibration. Most people that are hypersensitive in this way carry a vibration of he goes here it comes. I'm going to say it because he never says this, like too vulnerable of a biofield. And I'm like, whenever I thought you always say there's not enough or too much, there's no such thing. He's
Yeah.
like, well, you can't be too vulnerable. You have to set boundaries. But then again, Mom, most people that experience this, once they understand what's happening, they over-identify with it. Oh,
Yeah.
I can't be near that because it affects me. And he says, and instead of pointing the blame and saying, that affects me, that is makes me ill, or whatever, look inside, look inward, and find out what you can do to change, because you can change your vibration, and that in turn will sort of neutralize the
Yeah.
experience of
So basically,
sensitivity.
just stake your claim to your own biofield. Hey, this is mine. No omittance. No shoes, no shirt, no service, man. You're out of here. Is it as simple as that?
And it's mindfulness too. He
Mindfulness,
says
yeah.
being mindful of it too, um, but not in the way of over identifying with it. Being mindful of this is who I am. This is, he says, Mom, it's a deep level of achievement of knowing self, because when you
Yeah.
know yourself, the vibratory level, your true self, you then can easily identify what is affecting you. Um,
Okay.
just like he says, just like crystals, there are some people
Mm-hmm.
that, when they carry a crystal, it can make them nauseous, dizzy, whatever. And then they have that mindfulness, that awareness that, okay, this is affecting me. So I'm going to put it back. I'm going to keep my boundaries. But you have to own that responsibility. It's not the other
Okay.
way around. He says, you can't,
Okay.
he says, it's not a game. It's not like, hey, this is my lady and I have to
Um,
act.
that's a delivery. Okay, real quickly, why does it happen in northern countries? We only have 1 minute now.
Um,
How's
he's
that,
showing
Bella?
like the use of electricity in many ways, but also mindfulness, like where the mind is with it.
Okay.
Um, he says too, I feel like this is kind of sad. He shows it being a snowball effect because of like gossip, almost like it's a trend. Or, oh
Okay.
yeah, I experienced that too. I have that too. It's
Oh.
people like over identify with
Oh, I
other
see.
people's happenings.
Okay. All right.
So really interesting. It's like a trend he's showing.
Okay. So maybe it is not that there's something in the north that's causing this. It's just that, you know, people all of a sudden are spreading the word about it and identifying with it.
He said, oh God, he's brutally honest sometimes. He goes, Mom, sometimes people don't have enough to do.
Oh. Okay, well, we better close off. I know that you have another session here pretty soon. I've got to go take Bella to the groomers for a haircut. Isn't that exciting?
Oh,
And
fun.
this weekend, I cleaned all the 1,100 square feet of grout and tile. It's back-breaking, and my knees can, oh my God, they're pitiful looking.
I read that.
Anyway,
I have done the same thing, and it
oh,
is, oh my gosh, it's
back-breaking,
brutal.
man. Oh. Anyway, bye, everybody. Stay tuned for the messages at the end. See you later. See you later. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Cam. I love you, Eric.
Eric says, I love you, Mom.
Bye-bye.